I thought we would just start with some random piles. I'm filming on my favorite piece of material here. We got some sugar skulls going on, so I'm just going to be putting the palettes here. We're going to look at them real quick and discuss real quick why I may want to get rid of them or keep them or put them in the maybe pile. So we'll see. So the first pile that I got a random pile here, and most of these you've probably seen before because they're always on my set. All right, so let's get these out of the way. And then the first one we got is the We Are the Weirdos Mr. palette, along with the Heart of Fantasia palette. These are by a brand called Pretties for Your Face. You would have seen me do a review of these on another one of my videos. I can link that down below. And as you can see, they're very, very pretty. This is a hand-pressed indie brand, so definitely cannot part with these. So we're keeping those. The next palette we got here is the Retro Wave Extreme Blush Palette by the Swatch Queen. And this is actually a blush palette, believe it or not. Look at that. Super, super pigmented. Look at that orange. It is a blush palette, which is a very, very unique blush palette. I've never seen a blush palette like this before. But as you can see from the pigmentation, it could obviously be used for a eyeshadow. So not getting rid of that. In fact, I'll probably do a video at least featuring this product at some point if you guys want to see it. Let me know in the comments below what you want to see done with this. The next palette we have over here is Moonspell by Lunar Beauty. The packaging on this is amazing. Take a quick look at the palette inside. So pretty. I haven't got a chance to use it a whole lot, but I'm definitely not getting rid of this. Even if it was a crappy palette, the packaging alone is top notch. So definitely hanging on to that. The next one we have from Storybook Cosmetics. And it also is a very, very pretty palette. This one I did get in a BoxyCharm. And the swatches have all been absolutely gorgeous. And the packaging looks super cute on my shelf. So not getting rid of that anytime soon. The next one we have here is from a brand called Spellbound Beauty. This is an indie brand that I found on Etsy. I probably will be doing a review of this palette soon. As you can see, it's very, very pretty. They have their own design and packaging. So because I do plan on doing more with this, definitely not getting rid of that one either. Okay, I think that was everything that was on my shelf except, of course, this big daddy. And this is actually a bunch of mini palettes right here, as you can see. So let's go through these and see if there's any that I can part with. These are all palettes that I have that were irregularly shaped, and I just didn't really have any other place to put them, so I just kind of stuffed them all in here. Now, this is a Laura Geller palette, and it is a neutral palette, but I always thought that the colors were so pretty, and as you can see, it has gotten some use. Just do a quick swatchy there. And you see how absolutely stunning those shades are? Look at that, stunning, right? So I don't think that I can part with this just yet. Next one we got is this Balm Cosmetics Day to Night. And I think this is the one that I think it is. Having some issues. Yeah, it's got something very unique. It's got a black primer right here. It's very tacky. You put that on the eyelids and you use it to put the eyeshadow on, and it makes up these other shadows look very, very bright. So let's see if we can do a swatch over the black primer. That's the shadow over the black primer, and that's one thing that I think was really unique about this palette. Man, it's really hard to get this crap to focus. Okay, there we go. All right, that's enough. But this palette's really, really cute. It's got a duochrome right there that I think is really pretty, and I can't get rid of it, not yet. The next one in here is this Laura Geller Glows On palette. I did get this at TJ Maxx, and it's because it had all these really pretty duochrome, multi-chrome shades in there that I think they're highlighters, and they're just so pretty. I haven't got a chance to play with them much yet, but you see how pretty these are? They were so silky, stunning. So I may declutter this eventually, but right now I'm gonna hang on to it. The next one we got is the Too Faced Razzle Dazzle Berry palette, and all the palettes from this Tutti Frutti collection are unbelievably amazing quality, and the shadows are so pretty. I'm not always wild about Too Faced, but all the shadows in this collection were outstanding. All right, next one we have here, moving on, is this Smashbox palette. I don't have a lot from Smashbox. I just have a few of these mini palettes, and this is one of the few that I actually really enjoyed. I decluttered a couple of the others, but the shadows are really nice in here. The colors were unique, and of course, you know, the packaging. I'm a packaging whore, so there is that. So we'll be hanging on to this. This Kat Von D Shade and Light Contour Eye Palette. The thing is, I never use this. I have no use for this. I never reach for this. I always forget I have it, but the packaging is so cute that I just don't know if I can part with this just yet, just because I'm a packaging whore. Packaging sells me every time. So I'll be hanging on to that. Now, this little mini palette from JCat Beauty, Fab 5, the colors are cute, but I don't even think I've even swatched this palette. It's not something that I ever reach for. I don't think I will ever use it. So I do think that I am going to declutter this. So yay, we found one. This is Natasha Denona. It's literally the only Natasha Denona that I own. And the shadows are really pretty. I don't get much use out of it. That lavender shade is really unique. I do enjoy that shade. But I don't get much use out of it, so I'm kind of on the fence of whether or not I'm going to declutter this one. I got it in a trend mood, I believe, and I think that for now I'll put it in the maybe pile. This one I've hung on to for a long time. This is from Physicians Formula, and the only reason why I have hung on to it is because the shadows are so pretty. But it's all shimmers. It's not really a super useful palette, and I always forget that I have it. But every time I swatch it, I'm just like, oh no, I can't get rid of it. It's just so pretty. But maybe it's time for me to finally let go of it. These are palettes that I got in a Trend Mood beauty box. This is from Colored Rain, and I thought this was super cute. I'm definitely gonna hang on to that. This is a face palette from OPI, and I also raved about this one, and I definitely want to get some use of that. It's such a beautiful face palette. So hanging on to that. This is, I literally just got yesterday. It's from Pat McGrath. She was clearancing out all her mini palettes for $15. Actually, I think I only paid $14 for it. And it is so pretty. So gonna be hanging on to that one because I want to play with it first and see if it's any good. This one I just got in a bundle of eyeshadows that I bought in a bundle, and it's from ColourPop. It is the Elements of Surprise palette, and it is right up my alley. I think it is so pretty. That purple shade in the middle, I cannot wait to try it. This pink is like a satiny metallic right there, and it's so pretty. And it is such a pretty palette. I cannot wait to play with it. Let me know if you want to see a look with this palette. Okay, we got another fun pile here. This is another palette that I got in a beauty bundle that I bought. It's never been touched, it's never been opened, but I know that since I'm a makeup snob, I'm probably never going to reach for this. So I will just pass it on to someone who can use it. I'm going to reach for this one. This is a Too Faced Palm Springs palette. The packaging, as you can see, it is super cute. It's a nice hard shell plastic. And the inside of it is super cute. The problem is it's not as pigmented as it looks. It's such a pretty palette, but when I go on it, it's a little bit dusty. It is definitely not my favorite Too Faced palette, other than to look at. However, your girl's not going to be able to get rid of it just because I am such a packaging whore, and the packaging is so cute. It's going to stay in my collection for at least a little while longer. The next one we have is the Brow Bar. I did get this in a BoxyCharm. I can't get it open. Oh my god. Oh my god. There it is. There we go. There is literally no pigment to this palette. There was nothing to it. I just could not believe it. It looks so pretty, but there was literally nothing to it. But definitely not going to keep this palette. And here we have special edition Pat McGrath Star Wars. And I'm going to show you these colors here. You know Pat McGrath. Of course, I got a fingernail in it. I think my baby did that as well. I cried a little, died a little, but it is still usable. And as you can see, all the shades are absolutely stunning. Not getting rid of that. This palette is not going anywhere. Another from Pat McGrath we have here. We have the little mini neutral palette. And they are so buttery, so creamy. I don't reach for this palette very often because they are all neutrals and I do not wear neutrals that often. But on a day where I just want to look a little more classic, I do reach for this palette and I absolutely love it. So not going anywhere. Fenty Beauty. I did get this in a BoxyCharm. It was in one of the BoxyCharm takeovers, and I think this palette is so pretty. I haven't reached for it as much as I would like to, just because I kind of forget that I have it. And plus, the packaging is super pretty. I love it. So I am going to hang on to this one. The next one we have here, I also got in a subscription. This is from Okalon. It is a neutral eyeshadow palette. I have not even touched it because I actually kind of hate it. I hate it. They're absolutely disgusting. I hate it. I hate it. So I will be getting rid of this. Oh, yay, we got another one. All right, the next one we have is an old OG Urban Decay palette. This one I haven't got a lot of use of because I just basically have it. I basically bought it for nostalgia purposes. So that and the packaging, I'm gonna hang on to this one. This next one is a mini palette that I got in a subscription. I don't remember exactly which one. It might have been iBeauty. I don't remember. This is by CAS Cosmetics, and it's a quad. It's called Crescent Moon. And look at that. Is that not stunning? I love these 4 shades. It's got these 3 duochromes here, and then this satiny reddish pink. I absolutely love this quad. I think it's some of the most beautiful eyeshadows I've ever had a chance to work with. So definitely not getting rid of this. I love it. The next palette here is from Coastal Scents. As you can see, I only paid a whopping $1.99 for it at the 99-cent only store. And because of the price and the color story, I was like, oh, why not? And it is super pretty. I did swatch these 2 shades and they were nice and they were definitely worth what I paid for it, but not pigmented enough for me to ever really just be like gravitate towards it. So I will be putting this in an eyeshadow bundle that I will be getting rid of because, you know, someone actually will probably get a lot of use out of this. I just won't. The next one we have one of the Ace Beauty I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. I did sell the other one that I got from a BoxyCharm. I got this palette in a bundle that I bought online. And the color story is really super pretty and the shades look super pretty. But honestly, I haven't had the best luck with Ace Beauty ever since they started putting stuff in BoxyCharm. And I just haven't even touched this because I don't want to ruin it just in case someone else will use it more. So I probably will sell this or put it in a bundle or something. I'm not going to hang on to this. It's just not something I'll use. Next, we have the Urban Decay Moon Dust palette. I do believe I did get this at TJ Maxx. And of course, it's a nice hard plastic. Of course, the packaging got me. But the shadows on the inside are actually really super pretty. And you know, Urban Decay isn't making stuff like this very often anymore. They've gone more neutral. They've gone all about the naked. So getting a palette like this with Urban Decay, I was super excited about it. And the shadows are actually really, really pretty. I forget that I have it, so I don't reach for it a whole lot, but the packaging alone is not going to let me get rid of it. I absolutely love this palette. The next one is this palette from Becca. Got a little schmutzka on there. And this palette is such a beautiful palette. I also got this from TJ Maxx. It's one of their Bake eyeshadow palettes. And as you can see, this palette is absolutely stunning. I use this palette actually quite a bit. You only need a little tiny bit when you swatch it. So much product shows up there. I mean, this is such a beautiful palette. Beautiful, beautiful palette. So no way. No way on earth am I getting rid of this. I love it. Another little indie brand. This is called the Weed Queen 420 palette. It is cannabis infused. And it is also super cute. We got a duochrome little gold shade here, a gold shade here, purple shade, purple. Only one matte in the whole palette. This is a semi-matte, more like a satin, and then this orange shade here. So it's perfect for a sunset look. And I actually have done a sunset look with this palette, and it's super, super cute. So not ready to get rid of that one just yet. Plus, I love the gimmick of it. It's 420 somewhere. Next, we have this Kevyn Aucoin face palette. I also got this from TJ Maxx, and I use this quite a bit. As you can see, the contour shade is probably the most perfect contour shade I've ever found for me, so I have hit pan on that. It's one of the few things that I have hit pan on. So I will be keeping that because obviously you can see I use it a lot. Next, we have a Stila palette. I do believe I also got this from TJ Maxx. You can see I'm going through all the TJ Maxx palettes. I promise they're not all TJ Maxx, but this one I did get from TJ Maxx. And take a look at this. This palette is so pretty. They're so pigmented, and it's also got these multi-chrome shades here. And I absolutely love it. That blue shade is poppin'. That gold shade is poppin'. The mattes are really soft. It's such a beautiful, beautiful palette. Also, not getting rid of this. We got here a Dose of Colors. I can't remember. They do think this was a collab palette. And we do have a little issue, so I'm going to be very, very careful. I'm not sure how it happened, but that beautiful bluish green shade got broken, and I am just devastated. So I can't keep a palette like that. I probably will save this shade by putting it in like a single eyeshadow container and then depot the rest of these and see if I can get any use out of them. But it's not safe for me to keep around eyeshadow that's broken like that just because I have a baby and I don't want him getting into it and blah, blah, blah. Next, we have the Kat Von D Saint and Sinners palette. And I'm going to pick up the camera so you can just get a look at how stunning this palette is. This packaging, oh my god. I just recently acquired this, so this hasn't been on the market in a few years. I'm not exactly sure when, but I got this in an eyeshadow bundle, and it has been barely touched. Look at that. Look at that. Is that not such a stunning palette? It's not the most cohesive color story, but I'm obsessed with it and I'm so excited. The shadows in it are still super pigmented, still beautiful. They're not crusty at all. And the packaging alone is enough for me to know that I will never ever get rid of this palette. Just look how beautiful it is. I am obsessed with it. These next couple palettes are palettes that I bought for my Back from the Dead series, so it was me intending to review a bunch of old palettes and do looks with them. I haven't really been doing that in a while because they didn't seem super popular, but it was also when I first started out. So if you guys would like me to start doing this again, reviewing old palettes and doing looks with them and try to bring Back from the Dead, especially since, you know, we're all a little tight on money right now and we should be using what we have instead of buying new stuff, it might be more useful to you guys now. So let me know if you want me to start filming these again. I never did film a Back to the Dead with this, but I absolutely wouldn't mind filming a Back from the Dead because these shades are beautiful. This is Urban Decay Anniversary Edition. And the packaging, it was really cool because this thing come out, but it's not coming out right now for some reason. It's a very, very hardcore jewelry-like box, and it is super cute. I shall not be getting rid of that just because the packaging alone, as you've seen from my set, that this is totally my aesthetic. So hanging on to that. This was the Tarte True Blood. I also bought this for the Back from the Dead series, which was really more appropriate. The packaging is a little beat up, but I still kind of love it. Let's see if I can figure out where to open this. God, hang on a second. There we go. And the color story is honestly pretty blah for a palette that's based on True Blood, but the look came out really, really pretty that I did with it. Even though the color story is obviously something I'm probably never going to use, I can't get rid of it. I just can't. So I probably will hang on to this forever and try to salvage the packaging in whatever way I can. So gonna hang on to that. Let's start with this Becky Chloe Malika collab from Becca. This is a highlighter palette. It is really pretty, but I'm not sure I will ever reach for it. Maybe I should hang on to it just for a little bit just to see if I can get any use for it. So that will go in the maybe pile. This is a Viseart mini palette I bought off of Ipsy, I believe, from the add-ons. The color story is very warm tone, very pretty. I wasn't as impressed with the shadows as I expected, and I never really reached for it. It is very nice, but it's just not what I expected from Viseart, so it's not like super bam out of the water. So I don't think that I'm going to hang on to this. I probably am going to put this in a bundle or maybe sell it by itself. So that one, I think I can part with this one. This is the ColourPop Mint to Be palette. I have only used this once, but it's just because it's such a monochrome story that I don't really wear monochromes a super lot, but it is such a pretty palette, and each of these shades is so unique and so beautiful. I do love it. So because I'm really obsessed with greens now, especially since I have red hair, I will definitely be hanging onto this. In fact, I bought the Lucky You palette, I think it's called, and I have that coming very soon. The next one we have, I'm sure that I got this from TJ Maxx, and I bought it mostly because of the packaging, even though I knew I was probably not going to use it, and the reason why is because of this. It is literally all neutral mattes. Now, if I needed a good neutral palette, this is probably it. It's a very decent quality. All the mattes are pretty soft, they're pretty silky, and it's got both the cool tones and the warm tones, so it is a useful neutral palette if you just need one in your collection. I probably should hang on to it because if I remember that I have it, I probably would get some use out of it. Next, we have this Huda Beauty face palette, and I do think that I'm going to pass this on because I never, ever, ever reach for it. The formula is not my favorite. I know some people love it, and I think that someone else would just get more use for it. So I will be passing this on. The next one we have is Through My Eyes, I Love Sarahi and ColourPop collab. And this palette is so cute. All these green shades and all these red shades and all these pink shades. It's got such an interesting color story, and it's so, so, so adorable. I love it. Never getting rid of it. Keeping it. Bye. This is an indie brand called Medusa's Makeup. It's their first palette ever. It is called the Electro palette, and I wanted to love it because the color story, it is a rainbow palette. It looks super cute, but this right here is a pressed glitter. These are glitter infused matte shades in the center here, and then the top is all matte, and I wanted to love it. I really, really did. I just did not. I did not find the shades super pigmented. They were dusty on the eye. They were hard to blend and work with. I just was not in love with this. So let me know if you want me to do a look or review with this so that you can see how it performs. And so I'm on the fence with this. I'll keep it if you guys want to see me review it. Next, we have 3 Balm palettes. And even though I never reach for these palettes, I did purchase them because I really liked the eyeshadows that were inside them. This is the Alternative Rock palette. First of all, I just like it because of the packaging. When you open it up, it's got this little record, and it's got purple, and you know that's completely up my alley. That's so my aesthetic. And then the shadows, they're this really beautiful foil shadows. Pretty neutral, but also very, very pretty. It's got this multi-chrome highlighter here, this very pretty blush, and then a nice contour shade. So, I mean, it's got everything. It's almost a full face palette, and I kind of like it. I don't reach for it very often, but it is good for traveling, so we'll hang on to this one. Now we got another Balm. It's the Foiled Again palette. Mostly almost all completely shimmers with a bottom row of all mattes, just for using as contour shades and all that kind of stuff. And this is a really, really pretty palette. Another very neutrally palette. It actually kind of looks like the new Jeffree Star Nude palette, doesn't it? The shimmer one. So we'll be hanging on to this. Maybe it'll be a dupe for the Jeffree Star palette. Let's try it out later, shall we? This is the Luminizer Squad Face Palette. This is one I may not keep. It's just, I have other things like this. I never reach for this. It's just not something that I think I need in my collection. This purple highlighter is pretty unique, but I won't ever wear it, so I may pass this on. Next up, we have these two Wet n Wild palettes, and I think I got these at Ulta for buy one, get one half off, and I was a little skeptical, but I only bought them because, you know, packaging. Super cute. They had the My Melody and the Kurami character palettes, and the, you know, kawaii, cute, super cute. Two different color stories, one kind of a little dark goth and purple, and the other one super happy and pink. And I gotta tell you, these palettes are super cute and super nice. I really, really, really like them. So these are not going anywhere. And if you guys would like to see a look with these palettes, just let me know, because I would love to film a video about this. It's not first on my list because it's not an indie brand, but I'd be all about it if you guys want to see it. Next, we have a Makeup Geek palette that I bought last year on Black Friday. It's a color story that I picked out. I think they were having like 30% off, and as you can see, it looks totally like something that I would pick out. A duochrome green, a duochrome purple, a gold, brown, some oranges, some duochrome pink, some duochrome whites. I got, because I'm really obsessed with duochromes. Functionally, it's not really a good palette by itself. It's just a bunch of random shades that would look good with other looks, but these are just the colors that I was drawn to, so they're the ones that I happen to pick. So definitely not getting rid of this. Next, we have this in Living Color palette. I am on the fence about this one because it looks really cute. I like the packaging. I think it's really cute. The other two Hank and Henry palettes that I got here, which are their newer palettes, I wasn't really wild about the formula. It wasn't terrible. It's just, it wasn't super easy to blend, and it just wasn't what I was expecting. I guess all three of these should just go in the maybe pile. All right, next up, we have the Girl Scout palette, and it is by Kara Cosmetics, and I love this palette right now. It's a super cute green palette. I love all the shadows. Honestly, this formula, if you like Huda eyeshadow formula, this formula is almost the exact same. That's exactly what it reminds me of, is Huda Beauty. So this palette's super cute, weed themed if you're into that, and I absolutely love it. Keeping that for sure. This next one I got from an Ipsy from Dido Cosmetics, the Shiny Sun and Shade palette, and I had got another palette from Dido Cosmetics that was super cute on the outside, but functionally I didn't think it was really that great. We'll get to that one a little later. A lot of their palettes seem to have these planet themes, and when you open it up, oh wow, super cute. Now this is actually a pretty decent palette. This one's a lot more usable than the other Dido palette that I have. It's a very neutral, warm, neutral palette, but very, very pretty shades. The mattes are very nice. They're smooth and buttery, so a decent palette. I don't know if I'm going to reach for it a huge amount, but considering the fact that I just got it and do like it, I'm going to hang on to it for at least a little bit longer. Next up, we have these two Tarte palettes. And I really actually like these palettes. They're very, very neutral palettes, but they're very everyday. Great for touch-ups. I like to keep them in my purse. As you can see, they're very well loved. And they have a great big mirror, like compact mirror there that's really nice to use. And they stay safe in the purse. They don't break in the purse. Definitely hanging on to these. I like these. We have the next stash of palettes here. As you can see, I got quite a few that we are going to go through here. First up is the Urban Decay Born to Run palette. The box is a little beat up, but the palette is completely untouched. I don't think it's ever been swatched or touched or anything. You can be the judge of that. It doesn't look like I ever even touched it. But honestly, as cute as the color story is, there's nothing unique enough about it that makes me want to reach for it over any of my other palettes. So in the way of Marie Kondo, does this bring me joy? Not enough, I think. I think I am going to get rid of this one. Next up, we have Pat McGrath. This is the Mothership V Bronze Seduction palette. This palette is so pretty. Like, make you gasp pretty. And I absolutely will not be getting rid of this. I love it. Next, we have the Carity Picante palette. I remember ordering from Carity once, and they said that my order got delivered and I never got it, and I tried to reach out to them for a refund, and they basically just gave me the middle finger. So not a huge fan of their customer service, but this palette is really, really pretty. I haven't really used it yet. I'm not even sure that I swatched it. I got it in a BoxyCharm, but just because I have a little bit of beef with them. Oh, I did swatch this shade right here because I can see some fallout there. But because of the little bit of beef that I have with them, I haven't been tempted to reach for this palette. So I may declutter it. I just don't have the heart to do it right now just because it is such a pretty palette. So I'll just hang on to that for a little bit. But I'll probably declutter it eventually. Next up, we have Tati Beauty. It is an extremely neutral palette, and she's got 4 different types of textures here. She's got the pressed glitter, she's got the metallics, she's got the satin with the glitter, and she's got the plain matte neutrals here. And I think it's a really unique idea for a palette. I think it's very interesting. Is it the most practical palette? I don't know. I mean, I think that's a neat idea, and I don't think it's been done before, so there is that. And even though I'm not a huge fan of pressed glitters, the pressed glitters in this palette are by far the most functional, easy to use, pigmented, less painful on the eyes. I mean, literally the best pressed glitter formula I have come across so far. So if you're on the hunt for a really good pressed glitter, this palette definitely has it. So definitely keeping that, love it. Next up is a palette from BH Cosmetics. It's the Take Me Back to Brazil palette. I know this palette is still pretty popular and it's on sale on BH's website right now. I actually got this at TJ Maxx for $8.99, I believe. The sticker's still on there. I actually got it for $6.99. In the pan there, it looks cheap, right? It looks cheap. It looks like it's low quality eyeshadow. But when I actually did swatches of each of the shades, they are beautiful. Like has all these really pretty greens in there. I mean, look how pretty that is. The blues, I mean, they're really, really pigmented. I mean, wow. I mean, that's really impressive. The only thing that's, you know, kind of wrong with this palette is that there is no Zero Zip Zilch mattes. Except for maybe this black shade. Yeah, that black shade is literally the only matte in the entire palette. These other 2 are kind of like duochrome pressed glitters, and the rest of these are all satin shimmers. So the palette, if you see it for $6.99, I think it's definitely worth the $6.99 price. Pick it up. Okay, next up we have the Too Faced The Power of Makeup Nikki Tutorials palette. There was a huge controversy about this that came out several years ago, and I didn't originally own this when it first came out. I bought this more recently because I thought it would be a neat piece of makeup collector memorabilia for, you know, makeup history, and I thought it would be really, really neat to have. But I gotta tell you, having it just, it makes me sad. Yeah. Maybe it's because of all the bad juju behind it. I don't know, but I honestly feel like I'm ready to let this go. I don't feel the need to keep it anymore. I don't think it's adding anything to my collection except, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, it just feels, it's sad. It makes me feel sad. Maybe it'll make someone else much more happy than it makes me, so I'll pass this one on. Ta-da! A whole other pile, and I would say that we are about halfway done. We're getting there, folks. All right, so we have this IBY Beauty Ocean Awakening palette, and I know that I bought this on Ipsy. And it's a really pretty palette. It's honestly, the colors are really pigmented. The color story's there. It's a really, really nice palette. The only problem with it is that I never reach for it, and I don't see myself reaching for it, and I can't really tell you why. It's a good palette. The colors there are good, but I just know that I'm not going to use it, so I think that I'm ready to let this one go. This other IPY palette is called Enlighten, and this one I've been getting a little more use out of. It's a little bit more neutral with lots of pops of color, but it's a beautiful palette. It's got some duochromes in there, some really beautiful shimmer shades, some just enough mattes. There's only, yeah, there's 3 mattes, so that blue shade and those 2 brown neutral shades there. But I actually get a lot of use out of this palette. I find myself reaching for these colors quite a bit, so I'll definitely be hanging on to this one. Next, we have the Anastasia face palettes. One I did get at TJ Maxx, and of course I bought it broken and never got a chance to take it back. And this one, which I believe I got in an Allure beauty box, so I have that. I'd never reach for them. They are very pretty. So there I have those. They are very pretty, but I never reach for them. I'm really think of letting these go. I actually have the broken shade that I put pressed into a separate little pot thing that I could include with this. So I think I'll just pass these on to somebody that could use them more than I can. Next, we have this Pretty Vulgar Pretty Birdie eyeshadow palette. And I did get a Pretty Vulgar palette before in a BoxyCharm, and it was like this. It was a pretty palette, but it was not anything that I would use. It was a bunch of grays and browns. It just was it just wasn't my vibe. But I picked up this one at TJ Maxx. I can't remember what price. It was something relatively reasonable, and it's actually a beautiful palette. All of these shades are really very pigmented. It's an interesting color story. I don't know how cohesive it is. I actually really enjoy it, so I think I'll be hanging on to this one for a little while. I know it's annoying. I still have all the sleeves on all these palettes. The next one is the SpongeBob Hip Dot Special Edition. It is such a cute palette. The eyeshadows are so pretty. It's such a fun palette. I really, really, really love this palette. The shades are pigmented. They're easy to blend, and plus, it's SpongeBob. I love it. It's not going anywhere. I'm definitely keeping this one. And we have the Maddie Ziegler Imagination palette from Morphe. I picked this up just because it looked so different than any Morphe palette I've ever seen. I mean, they actually took the time to do pressed stamps. The formulas are really, really shimmery. I mean, the mattes are nicer than Morphe's usually are. I actually thought the formula was pretty good, and I actually really enjoyed this palette. It's kind of boring, other than that cute little purple right there, which you can't see on this camera at all. Let me swatch it. You have to see this. This is really cute. There. Yes. Really super cute purple, and overall a really, really cute palette. And you know, am I mad that it's a TikToker? A little, but it's one of the better Morphe palettes that have come out in a while, so I'm gonna keep this for a little longer just to see if it stands the test of time. Next up is this mini Dominique Cosmetics Celestial Thunder. I got this in a BoxyCharm. It is so pretty. It is such a pretty palette. I saw the bigger palette. It's even more beautiful. The formulas are really nice. They're soft, they're buttery. Dominique Cosmetics, they really got something good going here. I can't wait to see what else they come out with. Next we got this Nomad Berlin Underground eyeshadow palette, and I got this at an Ipsy, and I've actually really, really loved this palette. Look at those stamps. It's a really nice, unique, grungy palette. I really, really, really love it. It's what got me stuck on Ipsy, and then they just went all to skincare after that. But this is one of the best things they ever put in the Ipsy bags. That's all I'm gonna say. Next is this Pure palette. I actually have 2 of them now because I got one in a bundle, and it's not a bad palette, but the one shade that I would have used out of it broke, and in the palette that I got in the bundle, it also broke in shipping. So I'm just having really bad luck with this palette, but I'm at least going to be getting rid of one of them minus the black shade, but I might be getting rid of two. So that is getting decluttered. Next up, we have the Graveyard Girl Swamp Queen palette, and I love this palette. It's so cute. It looks like it's made out of wood. The actual palette itself is very, very, very neutral. It is very, very cute. It has the same scent that all Tarte palettes have. The highlighter is sickening. The blush is decent. The bronzer is okay. The shadows are really actually a very nice quality. I just don't reach for it very often because it's a neutral palette and I kind of forget that I have it. And I see it there in my collection. I just smile because I love Bunny. I love the packaging. I think it's really cute. It makes me happy. So I keep it. The next up is this What's the Tea palette. And it's also from the Balm. And it's got a lot of really beautiful foil shades. See those are right there in the middle there? The formula in this palette is actually really, really nice. It's got two different primers that you can use. It's got the black primer, and then it's got the regular primer, if that happens to be your eye color, right? But other than that, the palette's really, really nice. I never reach for this palette, and it's not because it's not beautiful. It's just because I forget that I have it. I mean, it's like that's why I'm doing this declutter. I have a problem. As you can see, I have a problem. We're working on it. Next up, we have the Ciati palette. I got this in a boxy charm. It's really pretty, and the formula is okay. It's just, I'm not feeling it. I got another one in a boxy charm just a couple days ago, and it's the same issue. The colors are really pretty. The pigmentation's okay. It's just okay. Like it's just okay. And I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling either of the palettes. I'm not feeling the packaging. It's just not my vibe. So I'll probably end up selling these as a bundle for people who like Ciati makeup. And I will definitely be decluttering these. I'll also be decluttering this Alamar palette. It's a pretty palette, but it has just a few cool shades that I've already have another of this palette already that I've depotted. And so this one, it looks like all the foil shades have been swatched, the matte shades untouched. But I will be decluttering this because I do not need these shades and I don't need it taking up space in my palettes area. Next up, we have this Butter London palette. It's just not vibing with me at all. It's just not my color story. It's not, the packaging aesthetic is just not my bang. I feel like someone else could get a lot more use out of it, so I am going to pass it on. Here it is. Here is the Dido Galaxy Shade palette. And it looks really, really cool, right? And when you open it, it looks even cooler, right? Look at all those glitter shades. And they're not pressed glitters except for that one right there, of course, that's supposed to be the sun. That's the only pressed glitter. All the rest of these are kind of like mica, but it's got a lot of mica. So all the colors, when you rub them together, they look dirty, they look dusty, they don't look good on the eye. As pretty as it looks in the pan, and once you start putting it on your skin, it's just no bueno. No bueno. This palette is no bueno. Pretty to look at and to have in your collection, but it's no bueno. But guess what? I'm going to keep it because I love the way it looks. Help me, I have a problem. Next up, we have the Bretman Rock Wet n Wild collab, and I gotta tell you, this is one of the most underrated Wet n Wild palettes that came out. This formula is so nice. I got it a little messed up. These shades are so pretty. I mean, I was shocked. I can't remember what I paid for this. I know it wasn't expensive. I think it might have been $15 tops, and it's every bit as good as ColourPop. It's every bit as good at, it's even better than some higher dollar ranges, I would say. So, I mean, for the price, $15, I recommend. If you're drawn to the color story and it is your bang, go get it because the formula's great. It blends beautifully. By the way, good job, Bretman. Next up, we have this Mythos Bad Habit palette. these palettes are really hard to get. They were really famous for making dupes of a lot of luxury brands. This particular one is of a Pat McGrath palette, and I'm so sad because 2 of the shades have been destroyed, and I just try to keep the palette closed because I want to use it so bad, and it makes me cry every time I look at it. And the formula is so soft, I don't know if it can be fixed, and it looks like the other gold shade there is about to get broke as well. So I never use this, but I can't get rid of it because I know I want to use it. So I can't say it's an exact dupe for the Pat McGrath, but it's really, really close for the money. At least it was when this company was still in business. I wish this company was still in business. All right, let's get the next pile. Next up, we got these 2 cute little Violet Voss palettes. Probably going to hang on to these because they're cute little travel palettes and they're easy to carry around, and you know, they're very cute. Violet Voss is pretty good, so I'm going to hang on to those. Next we have the Too Faced Contour Palette. I don't use it very often, but it smells really good. And, you know, I'm not going to be able to use all the shades, obviously, but quite a few of them I can use and get away with using. So I'm going to hang on to that for at least a little while, plus, you know, packaging. I got these two Too Faced Tutti Frutti palettes. One is a highlighter palette. Beautiful, love it, not getting rid of it. And this is honestly one of my favorite palettes of all time. So definitely not getting rid of this. I love the Too Faced Tutti Frutti line. Love them. Next, we have the Too Faced Natural Matte palette. It's also a really decent neutral palette. It's cute, succinct, cute packaging, good for travel because it's got a nice sturdy case. So if I do want just to make sure that if I am just going on a quick vacay or traveling somewhere, this is a great palette for that. Next we have the Shaina B Miami palette. I got this in an Ipsy and I thought it was super cute. My baby actually destroyed one and I actually repurchased this palette. Beautiful neutral palette. The shimmers on top are stunning, so gonna hang on to this. Next up we have the Tetris palette. I think there were 2 different types of these palettes. This is the one that I got. I got it from Ipsy. It is a weird color story that they don't completely go succinctly together, but this Game Night shade is off the chain pretty. So it's actually a really, really good palette. I don't know what the brand is. It just says Tetris, but I really actually kind of like this palette. Plus I think it's unique, so gonna hang on to it. People who have been watching my videos for a long time have seen this palette. This is from a brand called Private Society, and this is the Alter Ego palette. Cool packaging, right? So it opens up like this, and it has these bottom shades, these bottom matte shades here, and then these transformative shades on top. So it is a very interesting palette. I don't know that they're the first ones to do this, but I like the packaging, I like the vibe, so I'll be hanging on to this. Next, we have a palette from Bitter Lace Beauty. It is a hand-pressed indie brand, and I'm going to open it up. This is from their Mermaid collection, or maybe it's Under the Sea collection. I can't really remember. It comes with all these stunning highlighters, several of which can be used as eyeshadows. They are beautiful. They are heavily scented, which might turn some people off, but otherwise, beautiful. Definitely not parting with this. This is the Too Faced Pretty Rich palette. This is one that I probably will declutter eventually, but it is so pretty to look at. It is so pretty to look at, and the packaging is so cute that I am having trouble letting it go because, you know, your girls are packaging whore. But it's not the shadows aren't the best. It's a little patchy. It's not my favorite Too Faced palette, so this probably will get decluttered eventually. This one I'm on the fence about. It's by a brand called Cella. I had never really heard of them, but these shadows, it's a super cute neutral palette. The shades are really, really pretty. The shimmers are really, really outstanding. The mattes are soft. They're nice. It's just, I don't know if I ever will use this. I have so many other neutral palettes. I probably won't reach for this. This one goes in the maybe pile. We have the Makeup Revolution Chilled palette. This is a CBD or maybe it's sativa infused palette. It looks really, really pretty, but the shades just, there's no pigment there. I've worked with it a couple times. As you can see, I really tried to get use out of this palette. The only reason why it looks like I've used so much is because these shades are so soft that when you push into them, you leave a big fingerprint. So it's not because I've used it a lot. That literally happened after 2 times of me using it. So it's a really, really pretty palette. I've been craving a really good green palette, but this one ain't it, baby. This one ain't it. I also have this Makeup Revolution Forever Flawless palette. I do not believe I've even touched this one because I've been scared because of the last one. I just felt like maybe someone else could get more use out of it. So I probably will sell these 2 palettes together. I'm not going to keep this one. This Violet Voss Pro palette I have been tossing and turning with. Some days I want to get rid of it, some days I want to keep it. I never reach for it. It's been in my collection for a couple of years now. I got it in a BoxyCharm, and it is a really, really nice palette. It's super pigmented, it's pretty. I just never reach for it, so this one will go in the maybe pile. We got the Smoky Glow palette from Midas Cosmetics, and this is the first palette I've ever tried from them. It is such a stunning palette. Girl, you did that. Smoky Glow is one of my favorite YouTubers right now. She's so insightful. She's got a lot of wonderful things to say, and I agree with her probably 95% of the time. So these are the shadows based off. These are the shadows. They are so stunning. They got some of these duochrome shades that are just off the chain. And Midas is killing it right now, so it's slowly becoming one of my new favorite makeup brands. So check them out. Definitely keeping this. This is a pure Grinch collab that came out, I can't even remember, maybe 4 years ago. And the packaging whore in me certainly won't let this go. It's super cute. The shadows come in here like this. You know, they're decent shadows. Pure is hit or miss, but this one actually was a really good palette. And I don't have the heart to get rid of it. It'll stay with my collection for a while. Next up, we have the Lorac Pirates of the Caribbean palette. It is a super cute palette. The packaging, you know me, you know already what I'm like and what I'm gonna say. The color story is somewhat neutral on the warm side, but you know, the Lorac shadows have always been really, really good. So because of the packaging and everything else, this one is not leaving my collection anytime soon. I wish I knew what happened to the brush. Next up, I have the ABH palette, Norvina number 1. I actually also have the other 2 of these palettes, but they're in PR boxes, and I'm not getting rid of any of my PR boxes. So I'm just going to show you this one. And I'm actually going to be doing a video on this also with the fake. I'll be testing this later in the fake. So one of my favorite palettes. I absolutely love it. Some of the best color purple shades out there. So that one is not going anywhere. Let me know if you want to see a look with this palette. We got another palette from Private Society Cosmetics. Awesome packaging, same deal going on with the transformative shades. All these mattes and then 2 transformative shades in the middle. Still trying out this brand. I'll definitely hang on to this for a little while. This palette I've probably used maybe once. It's the Pure Creator palette, but it is such pretty packaging. It's real heavy. It's real luxe. It's a magnetic palette. It's got all these neutral shades I've probably barely used. This lifts up and it turns into just a magnetic palette, so you could pull any of the shadows that you didn't think you were going to use and replace them with other shadows, or you probably fit more shadows in there. I just don't have the heart to get rid of this right now, so that's going to be sticking around for a while. Next up, we have these 3 face palettes from Jeffree Star. I'm not going to open them up right now because I'm trying to save a little bit of time. You guys know what these look like. I'm probably going to get rid of these. These are the only Jeffree Star items in my collection right now that I have the heart to part with because I never use them. I barely touch them, barely swatched, so I probably will pass these on or sell them. Next, we have this Tarteist Pro Remix palette. I did get this in a BoxyCharm. It's actually a really, really pretty palette. It's one of my favorite palettes that I've gotten a BoxyCharm so far. All the shades are beautiful. They swatch so nicely, super pigmented. I'm definitely hanging on to this one. We have this Kimchi highlighter palette. The formula is really nice. Swatch is really pretty, really, really soft. It goes really smooth on the skin. I'm definitely not getting rid of this. I want to play with it a lot more before it goes anywhere, from Kimchi Cosmetics. This is the original Tarteist Pro. I also got this in a BoxyCharm. This one, I'm not even sure that I swatched. I don't have the box anymore, however. This one's a little less my jam, and I probably will pass this on. I just don't have any reason to keep this in my collection. Next we have this Naked Cosmetics face palette. I don't even think I've swatched this. They're really, really pretty shades. I just already have them already, and I don't need them again. So I probably will pass this on to someone who will use it. And bam, more goodies. All right, let's take a look, shall we? This is the Game of Thrones Urban Decay palette. It's actually a really, really pretty palette. I've got quite a bit of use out of it. As you can see, my fingers have been in all of those shades. And the packaging, super cute. Bam, not getting rid of that. Love it. The Morphe X Jeffree Star palette. It's not my favorite. I don't really love the color story. I don't really love the formula, but the collector in me is not ready to let this go yet, so it's going to stay in my collection for a while. This is the Too Faced Natural Lust palette. It is a super pretty palette. It is one of their better ones, I think. And the formula, the shades, the shimmers, they're really, really good. Plus the packaging is unbelievably beautiful. So this one I'm going to hang on to. This was from a Too Faced limited edition set from a while ago. I've heavily used it, and this one I'm on the fence about just because some of the shades in here are very unique, but it all around is a typical Too Faced palette. So I probably will declutter this eventually. I say that every time, but I probably will. This is the Morphe X Manny MUA Glam palette. This one I was super disappointed with because I love Manny's brand Lunar Beauty, but the formulas in this palette, although they look pretty, not my jam, plus they're just really not that pigmented. So the only thing I actually liked in this was the highlighters, so it's just not enough for me to hang on to this and keep it in my collection, so I probably will pass this on. This is the Morphe 35V. I do really, really like the color story in this palette. I've barely used it. I barely touched it. Whenever I want to reach for these colors, I always reach for a different palette. I haven't decided whether or not I want to keep this one. I probably will declutter it eventually, but for now, I think I'll hang on to it. This is the BH Cosmetics Zodiac palette. This is their baked formula, and I loved their baked eyeshadow formula. I think this is one of the prettiest from all the Zodiac palettes. I love every single shade in here, and they are so pigmented and beautiful. I just can't part with this palette. This is a BH Cosmetics 6th edition. It got 120 colors of eyeshadow in here. They're not bad. It's just I will never, ever, 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 ever reach for these shadows. And it's just, it's kind of like the Take Me to the Brazil palette. I just don't really have any interest in using these shades, so I probably will pass this on. Next up, we have the NYX Netflix Chilling Adventures of Sabrina Part 3 palette. Love the packaging. It's super cute. I loved the whole theme with this palette. I love the shade names. I really, really thought this was a fun palette. There is one highlighter, 2 blushes, and then all these eyeshadows. It's not the most pigmented palette I ever had. It was $35, I believe, when I bought it, but it's decent and it brings me joy, so I'm gonna keep it in my collection. Next, we got these 2 Best Life Violet Voss palettes. Now, here's the deal. One side is pressed glitters and the other side is the eyeshadows. And I got the Best Life one first from Boxy Pop-Up. And nothing real wrong with it. The shadows are really, really pretty. And, you know, the pressed glitters are terrible. They're like the worst pressed They are the worst pressed glitters I've ever used. Other than the fact they look pretty, they swatch disgusting. But the shadows are really pretty, so I probably will hang on to this. That's the Best Life 1. But wait till you see this Best Life 2. Same deal. Shadows really pretty, but look at the pressed glitters. Let me get a real close-up look at the pressed glitters. You see that? You see how it's all leaked and gotten all moldy? Like there's literally mold growing in this palette. Like, look at that. Mold. And I got this palette new. It was like that when I got it from BoxyCharm Pop-Up. So I didn't email Boxy. That's on me. This one I'm probably not going to be able to keep just because I don't know if those other shadows were infected by the mold here. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think I should do. It is what it is. That's the gamble of Boxy Pop-Up, I guess. Look at all these goodies. These are the Shared Planet palettes, and they are so beautiful. I just got these. I haven't got a chance to play with them very much. Much prettier in person. So definitely will be hanging on to those. This I've only been hanging on to for nostalgic purposes. It's one of my first expensive eyeshadow palettes. It's from The Balm, and as you can see, it got a lot of use and a lot of love. But I think it's finally time to let her go. Let it go, let it go. Next we got the BoxyCharm Hello Charmer. And this was a surprisingly good formula. I really enjoy these shades. They were really soft, they were pigmented, they were beautiful. Probably a little low on the matte side, but other than that, this is honestly a perfect palette. I was really impressed. I wish BoxyCharm would give us more palettes like this that are unbranded, rather than trying to give us all these name brands that are just subpar and not living up to BoxyCharm standards. Keeping that. I got a bunch of Anastasia palettes. We'll be keeping all of those. I do have an extra one though, so I will be passing that on. This is the 10G Glisten Up Morphe palette. It was the new Gay Pride palette that they came out with, and this looked so pretty originally on the swatches, looked so pretty online, but the pressed glitters, they're just not it. So I mean, you really have to work with the glitter glue to get these to do anything. They swatch terribly. And these top shades, they look pretty, but they're just okay. They're not super pigmented. I probably will hang on to this for a little while just because it's a collector's item, and the collector in me is like, yeah, you know how it goes, girl. All right, next we got this Kat Von D Metal Crush face palette, and I love these. They look how they sparkle. I don't use them very often, but I do like the formula. I think they're super pretty, so I will be hanging on to this. I kind of always forget I have it. This studio makeup I got in a BoxyCharm. I mean, I'm sure the shadows are nice, but look at it. It is so boring. I haven't even swatched it. I will probably pass this on. I did just get my fingernail in it. Whoops. This is the Tarte Park Princess face palette. The end is near. The end is in sight. Next we have the Arabesque Bad Habit Shadow Collection. I do believe that this is a dupe for ABH's Soft Glam. It is beautiful. I really wish that this company was still in business because their dupes are top notch. Definitely going to keep this palette since I do not own the Soft Glam palette. Next I have these two Zoeva palettes. I did get these in a BoxyCharm. They are cute. I haven't really played with them. I don't even think this one I've swatched. Maybe I did stick a finger in that blue shade. I'm not sure. It definitely got touched at some point. And then that's the Screen Queen. Then I have the Zoeva Heritage palette. This one I'm definitely much more attracted to the color story. I think it's much more bold and pretty. And this one I have actually not touched at all. So I'm on the fence about these. Let me know what you guys think about the formula, if I should try them out, if you want to see looks with them. So these are going in the maybe pile. This is another dollar store find. It's the Angel Cosmetics palette. It is a dupe for the Kat Von D. I can't remember which one. The drag palette, I can't remember exactly. This is a dupe for one of Kat Von D's palettes. I have not really tried it, and I'm also on the fence about this one. I know that this green shade is nowhere near the same as the green shade that is in the Kat Von D palette. The green shade in the Kat Von D palette's a lot more mint. The silver shade's very similar. So but the color story is definitely a dupe for the palette. I'll post it up here so you can see what it looks like. This is something I'm probably going to pass on. I really only bought it just to see if it was a fair dupe, but I've already depotted that palette, so I can't even really test it. So I'll probably get rid of this one. Next we have the Illuminosity from Trend Beauty. This is a really cute palette. It's a warm tone neutral palette. It's just not something I ever reach for. It's actually pretty pigmented for what the retail price is. It's just not something I'm going to use, so I am going to pass this on. Next we have the Tarte Park Princess face palette. I forget that I have this, but it actually is a really nice palette, plus it smells really nice. I'm definitely keeping this. Next we have the Melt Cosmetics Impulsive palette. This is such a pretty palette. I don't know why more people didn't get this or pick it up because now it's on clearance. It is such a beautiful grunge palette. I absolutely love it. The formula is creamy. It's beautiful. I love the packaging. I absolutely love everything about this palette. Definitely hanging on to this. If you want it, I think you can get it on sale now for only $35. There is a light at the end of the tunnel. This is the last of them. So this is a mini little balm palette. I think I only paid $2.99 for this. It's destroyed. It's got a blush and a highlighter, and then it's got some eyeshadow on the top there. It's not even worth hanging on to. I probably will throw this away because I just don't think it's very functional. Look how tiny those are. A couple lipsticks. It's just not for me. So I'm going to get rid of it, pass it on, whatever. Next, we got these 3 Huda minis. Some I've gotten a lot of use out of, some I haven't. This one I haven't used at all. This one I haven't used at all. This one I've used quite a bit. Not sure whether or not I'm going to keep them or not. They don't take up much space, so I'll probably keep them just to have them. I bought this very recently. I haven't really got a chance to play with it yet. It's one of the Norvina minis. Super cute, really pretty. Gonna hang on to that one. Super cute, really pretty. Gonna play with it a little bit. Let me know if you want to see a look with this one. This I got in a subscription box. It's Assembled by Jackie Love. I got a few other things from her brand. It's not terrible. Cute little quad here. Not something that I would ever really reach for a lot. I don't even know that I've swatched it. I probably will hang on to it for a little longer just because I'd like to play with it, but it's something I'll probably declutter eventually. I got this Venus XS. I got this on Lime Crime when they were having a sale on their website. It was like $8 plus free shipping. It looks pretty, and you know, it's not a bad color story. It's just, it's not outstanding quality. I thought some of the other palettes were better. I just was really disappointed with this. So because of the packaging, I'm probably going to hang on to it for a little while, but I'll probably declutter this eventually. This was a MAC limited edition. I actually bought this off of a pseudo-famous YouTuber. Her name is eluding me right now, but I'll post it up at the top here. There was a little bit of a scandal with her selling all her PR makeup, and I did buy this from her. If you want to check her out, she's very, very interesting. She's got a whole new YouTube channel now, completely changing her vibe. And this is what this looks like. It was a collab with Fosse de Palma. I'm not really sure who that is, but I thought the color story was really pretty and unique. And I love the packaging. So definitely hanging on to this one. Last but not least, we got this little Hip Dot Mini. Super cute quad. All the shades were really pigmented and pretty. Love it. So this one's not going anywhere. And that is it. If you like these types of videos, like and subscribe below. Let me know what you think. Let me know which palettes you would have kept or not kept. And I'll see you guys next time. Peace.